Today's fairy tale is a super cool story from Nigeria called The Woman with Two Skins. There's a powerful king who has conquered all the surrounding countries, killing all the old men and women and taking the able-bodied men and girls back as slaves who worked on farms until they died. No sugarcoating with this one. The king has 200 wives, but none of them have given him a son, and so his advisors are like, you should marry the spider's daughter because spiders have tons of children. Now, the spider's daughter is human, but the king doesn't want to marry her because she's ugly to him. But to please all the people, he marries her, adds her to his 200 wives. This woman is never described in the story, but the other wives dislike her so much because she's so ugly that the king then has to build a separate house for her to live in. But then the narrator tells us that, like in many fairy tales, she's not actually ugly. She was born with two skins, and she can take off the ugly skin and let the beautiful skin shine whenever she wants. But her mother has made her promise she will never remove the ugly skin in front of people until a certain time, and so she only removes it at night when she's alone in that house. Now, the king's head wife knows this secret somehow, but she doesn't want the king to find out because then he'll like her more. So the head wife's solution is to go to a juju man, or like a shaman, a magic medicine man, and get him to make a potion to make the king just forget that that wife exists. It works, and the king does forget about her. He's never come to her at night, never consummated the marriage, and eventually 4 months pass. He's still never come see her, and it says that she began to get tired and just went back to her parents. Her parents, the spiders, are like, this is ridiculous. We'll go to a juju man to figure out why he's forgotten you. So they do, and they find out about the potion, so they pay a juju man to then make a reverse potion that will make him remember her. So she goes to the king with food with the potion in it, gives it to him, he eats it, immediately recognizes her and says, oh, you, yeah, come to my place tonight. She's super excited, she bathes herself, she gets all dressed up, she goes to the king, and when they're alone in bed together, she takes off her ugly skin. He sees how beautiful she is, he's very pleased with her. They spend a great night together, and in the morning she puts on her ugly skin and goes back home. This continues until finally she gives birth to the king's first son. Everyone's surprised it's not like 50 sons like most spiders, but it's a son. Evil head wife gets jealous, so she comes up with an even more crazy plan. She wants the juju man to make the king sick, and then to tell the king the only thing to make him better is to take his son and throw him in a river. All that happens, the king does not want to throw his son in the river, but all his advisors again are like, you'll have another son, you're sick, you really should throw him in the river. So he does, and the mother wept and cried bitterly. Head wife does the same, making the king forget her again, so she goes home and he forgets her for 3 years, but she's cool, she spends that time grieving her son. But the son's actually okay. The juju who had helped the spider family the first time knew what was going to happen and was waiting in the water and had rescued the boy and raised him secretly on his own. Spider Girl does end up going back to the king using a reverse spell to make him remember her again. Again, he sleeps with her, she gets pregnant with a daughter. Again, the head wife does the same trick to get him to throw the daughter in the water. Spider's juju saves the daughter again, and this time he decides enough is enough. He persuades the king to hold this giant wrestling festival, and he and the head wife would be in attendance, and he brings his now grown son, who looks a lot like him, to participate in the festival. The son comes and kicks everyone's butt. He wins, and the king invites him to this big feast at his place. So he comes into his father's feast without his father knowing who he is, and everyone adores him because he's not just super strong and a winner, he's really hot. As they're eating dinner, the evil head wife is like, ooh, this guy's hotter than my husband. I think I want him. My husband's getting old. I want this man for a husband. So she super flirts with him, and he knows everything that's up, but he pretends to go along with it. He goes home to his juju foster father, and the juju foster father says, okay, now that you're in the king's favor, ask him for a favor. Say, I want this trial to be tried in front of the whole country, and whoever is found in the wrong to be killed. And the king's like, okay, that sounds fine. So the juju man tells the son, all right, now go to your mother, tell her you're still alive and who you are, and tell her it is now time for her to reveal her underskin. Our spider daughter girl is super overjoyed her son is alive. Then she meets her daughter, finds out she's alive too. They all go to a feast with the king, and she's wearing her beautiful skin so no one recognizes her. The king tells everyone, all right, the guy who won the wrestling has called us all here. He's gonna put someone on trial, and whoever is found guilty, even if it's me or one of my wives, they're gonna be executed. So let's go. The son goes before everyone and says, am I not worthy to be a chief's son? And then they're all like, yes, yes, you are. He brings out his sister. Is not she worthy to be a daughter? And they're like, yeah, she looks like she could be. And then he brings out his mom. Would this not be one of his wives? And they're like, yeah, she looks looks like she'd be a great wife and have many healthy sons. Then he says, well, we are. And he tells the whole story. And at the end, he says, all right, I'll let you guys judge. And at the end, if you think I should die, I'll die. But I don't think you're going to pick that. The king absolutely believes him. For one thing, he's the only one who's seen the beautiful side of his mom. So he has his soldiers take the evil head wife out to the forest, give her 100 lashes with a whip made from hippopotamus hide, and then burnt her alive so she should not make any more trouble, and then her ashes were thrown in a river. The king embraces his family and says that our girl is now his new head wife. They feast for 166 days. He builds a whole compound for the wife, gives a whole compound to his son, a whole compound to his daughter. They live happily until the king dies and the son takes over and rules in his stead. This is the first straight up African tale that I've done, and you can tell that all over the world we have a lot of the same stories, which I think is super neat and one of the best things about fairy tales. And we all apparently have a need to have really gruesome punishments for our villains. To find out if I have one in my book Dust Spells, you should check it out. It's a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. Also check out my podcast. All the links are in the bio.